Richard Gere was the ultimate Hollywood heartthrob, charming, intense, and impossibly cool. From dancing in Chicago to sweeping Julia Roberts off her feet in Pretty Woman, Richard Gere became a legend. But behind the fame, his life has been a whirlwind of luxurious living, spiritual quests, high-profile romances, and even shocking controversies. What was even more shocking was his sudden disappearance from the Hollywood scene. So where is Richard Gere now? And what is his net worth? And why did he walk away from it all? Buckle up. We're diving deep into the untold story of one of Hollywood's most enigmatic stars. Early life. Richard Gere was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on August 31st, 1949. He was the eldest son and second child of Doris Ann Gere, née Tiffany, a devoted homemaker, and Homer George Gere, who worked as an insurance agent for NMIC. Richard was raised in the Methodist tradition. His father, Homer Gere, had once considered a life of ministry before ultimately choosing a different course. Despite this shift, faith remained a strong foundation in the Gere household. The Gere family later settled in Syracuse, New York, where Richard spent most of his childhood. His surname, Gere, wasn't always spelled that way. His paternal great-grandfather, George Lane Gere, decided to alter it from its original form, Gere. George was an Englishman who left Heavitree, England, to seek a new life in the Connecticut colony in 1638. Gere attended North Syracuse Central High School, where he wasn't just another face in the crowd. He had a natural gift for both athletics and the arts, excelling in gymnastics, while also developing a strong passion for music. His instrument of choice was the trumpet. This early love for music remained with him throughout his life, even as he pursued other dreams. After high school, Gere earned a gymnastics scholarship to the University of Massachusetts Amherst, where he chose to study philosophy. After 2 years, he made the bold decision to leave school before completing his degree. The desire to explore his creative passions led him down a different path, and that path took him straight to stardom. What started as a leap of faith soon turned into a meteoric rise to fame. Richard Gere, in the blink of an eye, went from being a regular guy from upstate New York performing in small theater productions to being crowned People magazine's Sexiest Man Alive in 1999. His first taste of professional acting came in 1969 when he landed roles at the Seattle Repertory Theater and the Provincetown Playhouse in Cape Cod. That same year, he took the stage in Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. The big leagues called soon after. In 1971, he made his Broadway debut in Soon, a rock opera written by Scott Fagan and Joe Kukulis. Unfortunately, the show was a disaster, closing after just 3 performances. But Gere wasn't discouraged. Instead, he ventured across the pond and starred in the original London stage production of Grease in 1973, the same musical that would later become an American pop culture phenomenon. In 1979, he made waves by playing a gay Holocaust survivor in the Broadway production of Bent, a performance that won him a Theatre World Award. Soon, he stepped into the spotlight, landing leading roles. While the 80s brought him a mix of opportunities, not every film was a box office smash. His career saw its share of ups and downs, but he never lost his edge. Then, in 1990, 2 films put him back on top.
Richard, Internal Affairs and Pretty Woman, you seem to have made more or less back-to-back, and I've seen it described, the 2 films described as your comeback. Do you see it that way?
Internal Affairs and Pretty Woman. The latter, of course, needs no introduction. Starring alongside Julia Roberts, Gere played the suave and reserved businessman Edward Lewis, a role that melted hearts and made him the ultimate romantic lead. The film's success earned him another Golden Globe nomination. Throughout the 1990s, Gere continued to shine. In 1999, he reunited with Julia Roberts for Runaway Bride, a charming rom-com that, once again, reminded audiences why he was one of Hollywood's most beloved leading men. Then came the crowning moment. That same year, Richard Gere was officially declared what millions of fans already knew: the sexiest man alive. With his striking salt and pepper hair, enigmatic smile, and effortless confidence, Richard Gere had a magnetic charm that only seemed to grow stronger with age. The early 2000s saw him take on powerful roles. Gere walked away with his first Golden Globe win in 2002. His next major hit, Shall We Dance? 2004, further showcased his ability to blend charm with grace. The film grossed an impressive $170 million worldwide, proving that Gere still had the magic touch. Net worth. How much is Richard Gere worth today? Richard Gere's estimated net worth stands at $120 million. His wealth extends beyond blockbuster films, built on smart career choices, high-profile endorsements, and savvy real estate investments that have solidified his financial success. By the time he starred in An Officer and a Gentleman, 1982, Gere was already a leading man in Hollywood. The film grossed $130 million. In 1990, Pretty Woman raked in a staggering $463 million worldwide, earning Gere his second Golden Globe nomination and pushing his salary into the $7.10 million per film range. In 1999, Runaway Bride grossed $309 million worldwide. By this point, Gere had established himself as a bankable star, and his paychecks reflected it. In the early 2000s, he was reportedly making $12 million per film. Beyond the silver screen, Richard Gere's financial success has been bolstered by his real estate empire, with multi-million-dollar estates across the U.S. and abroad. He's also leveraged his star power in brand endorsements, serving as a brand ambassador for Fiat and even appearing in Visa promotional campaigns in multiple countries. With a career that has spanned decades, Gere's fortune continues to grow, and his legacy reaches far beyond Hollywood. Love and relationships. Richard Gere's love life has been just as captivating as his Hollywood career. Over the years, the silver-haired heartthrob has been linked to some of the most beautiful and influential women in the world. Models, actresses, socialites, even music royalty. And let's be honest, who wouldn't want to be Richard Gere's leading lady? Gere has been known for his magnetic charm both on and off the screen. Though not all the details of his past relationships are public knowledge, his love life has kept the rumor mill spinning for decades. Before settling into marriage, Gere had quite the dating resume. He was romantically involved with Padma Lakshmi, Diane von Furstenberg, Lori Rodkin, and even music icon Diana Ross. He had an on-again, off-again relationship with actress Penelope Milford from 1971 to 1978, before moving on to painter Sylvia Martens, whom he dated intermittently from 1978 to 1986. During these years, he was also linked to Tuesday Weld, Carol Mallory, and legendary singer Barbra Streisand. Hollywood tell-all books have suggested that Gere may have also had secret affairs with Priscilla Presley and Kim Basinger, as alleged by their exes. He reportedly shared brief romances with models Laura Bailey, Tina Chow, and Dalila Di Lazzaro as well. If there's one thing that stands out, it's that Gere has always been drawn to strong, glamorous, and intelligent women. But beyond his flings and high-profile romances, 3 women stood out from the rest. These were the ones who walked down the aisle with him. Gere's first marriage was to supermodel Cindy Crawford. At the time, they were one of the most glamorous couples in Hollywood. They tied the knot in 1991, but despite their picture-perfect appearances, cracks started to show behind the scenes. Crawford, who was 15 years younger than Gere, later admitted that their age difference played a big role in their struggles. She was still discovering who she was, while he was already deep into his established Hollywood career. By 1995, their fairy tale had come to an end. Crawford moved on, later marrying businessman Randy Gerber, with whom she built a family. As for Gere, he found love again, this time with actress and model Carrie Lowell, the former Bond girl from License to Kill and Law and Order star seemed to be the perfect match for Gere. They welcomed a son, Homer James Jigme Gere, in February 2000. His name was a nod to both of their fathers, and they included the Tibetan name Jigme, reflecting Gere's deep connection to Buddhism. In 2002, they made it official and got married, enjoying over a decade together before their love story took a different turn. By 2013, they had separated, and what followed was a long and drawn-out divorce battle. The proceedings lasted 3 years, with headlines constantly speculating about their settlement. In October 2016, it was finally over. Following the divorce, Lowell embraced a quieter life, settling in North Haven, New York, where she pursued her passion for ceramics. But she never fully stepped away from acting. Gere, instead of leaving his romantic days behind, found love once again, this time with Spanish publicist and activist Alejandra Silva. Their romance officially began in 2014, but their paths had crossed long before that. Their first meeting happened under unusual circumstances. Gere had borrowed a boat from Silva's father for a film. At the time, Silva was just a teenager, far too young for romance, but the actor remained a family friend for years. It wasn't until over a decade later, when fate intervened and brought them back together, that sparks truly began to fly. Silva, a Spanish publicist and activist, recalled the moment of their reconnection, saying they felt an instant attraction. "Our karma was attracted the moment we saw each other," she once said, but she was also fully aware of the challenges ahead. "I'm not ignoring our age difference and what it means to be with a Hollywood star, but when there's such a strong karmic energy, the problems disappear." Gere, ever the romantic, courted Silva in the most old-fashioned, heartfelt way, sending her flowers every day until she finally agreed to go out with him. They got married in April 2018, and he took things a step further, serenading her with songs daily. What could be more romantic than a man who writes you songs every day? Silva, who comes from a prominent Spanish family, was deeply involved in humanitarian work, much like Gere himself. Their shared passion for philanthropy and spirituality brought them closer. For Gere, Silva brought a kind of happiness he had never known before. "I am the happiest man in the universe. How could I not be? I'm married to a beautiful woman who is smart, sensitive, committed to helping people, who's fun, patient, who knows how to forgive, who's a great cook, and who makes the best salads in the world," he once raved. Silva, in turn, had only admiration for her husband, calling him the most humble, sensitive, affectionate, attentive, funny, generous man that I've ever met. She continued, "Not a day goes by that he doesn't mention how important I am to him. I feel very lucky." Of course, their 34-year age gap raised eyebrows when they first got together. But their love has proved stronger than any outside judgment. Love stories with a complicated beginning, where you have to overcome difficulties together, can bring you closer, Silva once reflected. "I'm sure I did have some doubts at some point. In the beginning, he was more convinced than me. But from very early on, we felt that we were destined to be together." Their journey together took a beautiful turn in 2019 when they welcomed their first child, a baby boy named Alexander. The following year, they had their second child, expanding their blended family. Both Gere and Silva had children from previous marriages. Today, they live a peaceful and private life on their ranch in New York, far from the flashing cameras and relentless scrutiny of Hollywood. Controversies, the headlines that shocked fans. From the moment Richard Gere skyrocketed to fame, whispers about his personal life followed closely behind. One of the most persistent rumors was the speculation about his sexuality. As his star power grew, so did public curiosity, with interviewers frequently pressing him for an answer. But Gere refused to entertain the question. He believed that all sexual orientations were equal and that the inquiry itself was unnecessary. However, as time passed and his relationships with women became more public, the speculation faded, leaving little doubt about his heterosexuality. Yet, Controversy has never been too far from Gere's orbit. He found himself entangled in a legal battle that stretched on for nearly 2 decades. It all stemmed from a seemingly innocent moment in 2007, when Gere shared the stage with Bollywood actress Shilpa Shetty at a public event in India. In an attempt to make a point about HIV awareness, Gere kissed Shetty on the cheek multiple times, emphasizing that HIV could not be transmitted through casual contact. What he saw as a well-intentioned gesture quickly spiraled into an international scandal. The backlash was swift and severe. His actions were deemed inappropriate by conservative groups in India, and outrage swept across the country. The Supreme Court even went as far as issuing an arrest warrant for Gere, branding the display as obscene. Overnight, what should have been a simple health advocacy effort turned into a legal nightmare. Meanwhile, Shetty, who had merely been on the receiving end of the actor's enthusiastic gestures, also faced legal troubles. Despite having no active role in the controversy, she remained entangled in the case for nearly 16 years. It wasn't until April 2023 that a court in India finally dismissed the charges against her. In its ruling, the court acknowledged the unfairness of the situation, stating, "A woman being groped on the street or touched in public cannot be considered an accused party or held liable for prosecution." As for Gere, he had long maintained that his intentions were pure, rooted in advocacy rather than impropriety. But the incident remains one of the more unexpected chapters in his life. However, surprises were far from over for him. Why Richard Gere vanished from the silver screen. For decades, Richard Gere was a Hollywood heavyweight, but seemingly out of nowhere, he faded from the mainstream. No major roles, no Oscar nods, no big-budget blockbusters. So, what happened? In 1993, Gere stood on the grandest stage in Hollywood, the Academy Awards. As he presented an award instead of reading off a teleprompter, he seized the moment to denounce the Chinese government for its treatment of Tibet. This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment outburst. Gere had been a devout Tibetan Buddhist since his 20s. He had long used his platform to champion Tibetan independence, but calling out China in front of millions of people was a bold move. The backlash was swift and brutal. Hollywood studios, heavily reliant on China's massive film market, quietly shut their doors to him. Chinese investors, who wield significant influence over the industry, refused to back any project he was involved in. There are definitely movies that I can't be in because the Chinese will say, "Not with him," Gere later revealed in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. Even his Oscar-winning film Chicago, 2002, couldn't change his fate. Despite the film's massive success, Gere was notably absent from the Best Picture celebrations. You might think that independent cinema, free from studio politics, would welcome Gere with open arms. And for the most part, it did, until China's reach extended even there. In one shocking instance, Gere was set to star in a film directed by a Chinese filmmaker, but just 2 weeks before filming, the director pulled out. The reason was a fear that working with Gere would cost him everything. "We had a secret phone call on a protected line," Gere recalled. "He told me that if he went ahead with the project, he and his family would never be allowed to leave China again, and he would never work." For an actor used to taking risks, this was a different kind of battle. Even beyond movie politics, trouble was already brewing. Gere's films were struggling at the box office. Hollywood is, above all else, a business, and studio execs love actors who guarantee profits. But Gere's name stopped doing that. His 2000 film Dr. T and the Women struggled to recover its $23 million budget. Then came Amelia in 2009, which flopped even harder, earning only $14.2 million against a $40 million budget. Those numbers were hard to ignore. Beyond finances, Gere also gained a reputation for being too serious. Unlike other leading men of his era who embraced their heartthrob status, Gere resisted. In fact, in 1989, when British talk show host Michael Aspel introduced him as a sex symbol, Gere's team immediately demanded a retraction, going so far as to threaten legal action if the label wasn't removed. Aspel later recalled, It was very odd. He took himself very seriously, probably because he was so focused on his activism. While there's nothing wrong with being serious, Hollywood prefers its leading men to be charming, self-deprecating, and, most importantly, marketable. Gere's no-nonsense attitude only made him more difficult to work with in the eyes of industry power players. But here's the thing. Gere isn't sitting around mourning his lost Hollywood career. If anything, he seems relieved. The actor has openly admitted that he has no desire to star in CGI-packed franchises or wear a tuxedo for endless red carpet obligations. And he certainly has no interest in playing, as he cheekily put it, the wizened Jedi in your tent pole. The reality is, Gere doesn't need Hollywood anymore. He has made enough money in his prime to do whatever he wants. I was successful enough in the last 3 decades that I can afford to do these smaller films now. Real estate and luxury. Richard Gere is a real estate connoisseur with an eye for luxury and tranquility. Over the years, the Pretty Woman star has assembled an impressive portfolio of stunning properties worldwide. Gere's most well-known real estate venture was a breathtaking 49-acre compound in Pound Ridge, New York, just 50 miles from Manhattan. The area, known for its serenity and celebrity residents like Ryan Reynolds, Mike Myers, and Tom Brokaw, proved to be the perfect retreat for the actor. Gere didn't just buy a house, he built a haven. In 1986, he purchased the first piece of the property for $1.51 million. Over the years, he continued acquiring adjacent parcels, eventually transforming the land into a private paradise. The estate featured a grand colonial-style mansion, multiple guest houses, a stable, and countless luxury amenities. After decades of curating this masterpiece, Gere put it on the market in 2022 with a hefty $28 million price tag. However, he ultimately sold it for $24.15 million. What made this estate so special? For one, it bordered the stunning Ward Pound Ridge Reservation, a sprawling 300-acre park. Gere's property seamlessly blended into the natural surroundings, offering rolling hills, weeping willows, and a private lake with a sandy beach. It was an oasis of calm, but it also boasted an array of modern conveniences. A soccer field, basketball court, swimming pool, and outdoor dining pavilion added an element of entertainment to the otherwise tranquil environment. At the heart of the compound was the 3-story New England-style main house. Spanning 11,658 square feet, it featured 8 bedrooms, 10 bathrooms, and an array of luxurious spaces, including a sunroom, a library, and a spacious modern kitchen. The living room, complete with a dramatic floor-to-ceiling fireplace, opened onto a deck with mesmerizing views of the lake and tree-lined hills beyond. Gere also owned an exquisite mansion in New Canaan, Connecticut. He sold the property in November 2024 for $10.75 million. Though the deal was conducted off-market, reports revealed that the nearly 32-acre estate was a work of art, blending history, elegance, and rustic charm. Built in the late 1930s and designed by architect Harold Reeves Sleeper, the estate's main house exuded classic English country-style appeal. It boasted 5 bedrooms and 9 bathrooms, while a separate 3-bedroom, 2-bath guest cottage once served as a recording studio. The property's outdoor features were equally enchanting, with a swimming pool, terraced patios, gardens, woodland trails, a natural pond, and even a waterfall. Inside, the home was just as captivating. A grand entry foyer welcomed guests with a winding staircase crowned by a chandelier. The fireside living room was lined with built-in bookshelves, while the kitchen featured stainless steel appliances, an eat-in island, and a cozy breakfast nook. A wood-paneled study and an airy sunroom-turned-office space added character to the home, while the upstairs primary suite came with a wood-burning fireplace, a private balcony, and a cedar closet. Interestingly, the home previously belonged to musicians Paul Simon and Edie Brickell, who had lived there for nearly 2 decades. They had originally purchased the property for $16.5 million in 2002. Reports suggest that Gere initially had plans to turn part of the estate into a private farm for growing mushrooms, producing honey, and raising goats. He made headlines in 2016 when he sold his waterfront compound in the Hamptons to former NBC anchor Matt Lauer. The price tag was a jaw-dropping $36.5 million. Years later, in 2022, his Pound Ridge estate found a new owner in TV producer Ryan Murphy, who scooped up the lavish property for just over $24 million. In 2022, he sold a charming two-bedroom apartment in Manhattan's historic Gramercy Park for $3.15 million. In 2023, Gere decided to expand his real estate footprint overseas, purchasing a stunning three-story mansion in the La Moraleja region of Madrid, Spain. The price was a cool 11 million euros, approximately $12.3 million. By late 2024, he had officially moved in with his family, settling into the luxurious European lifestyle. Following the sale of his Pound Ridge estate, he acquired another stunning property in New York. In 2024, he purchased a $10 million lakeside mansion in North Salem, further cementing his love for serene, nature-filled escapes. Gere has an undeniable talent for curating the perfect living spaces. Richard Gere's Spirituality: How Buddhism Changed His Life. Richard Gere is a man of deep conviction, shaped by a profound spiritual journey. Unlike many celebrities who explore spirituality as a passing trend, Gere's commitment to Buddhism is a defining aspect of his life. His faith is an integral part of his career, activism, and worldview. Gere's fascination with Eastern philosophy started in his youth, as he searched for deeper meaning beyond the glitz of Hollywood. But it wasn't until his 20s that he found his true spiritual calling: Buddhism. His journey began with Zen Buddhism under the guidance of Kyozen Joshu Sasaki, a renowned Japanese teacher. For 5 to 6 years, he immersed himself in Zen practice, studying meditation and philosophical inquiry. However, his spiritual path took a transformative turn in 1978 when he traveled to Nepal with Brazilian painter Sylvia Martins. It was in Nepal that Gere encountered Tibetan monks and lamas, sparking an even deeper interest in Buddhist teachings. This journey led him to India, where he met the 14th Dalai Lama. That meeting changed his life forever. Gere embraced Tibetan Buddhism, particularly the Gelugpa school, and became one of the most outspoken supporters of the Dalai Lama and the Tibetan cause. Buddhism offered Gere a philosophy of life, one centered on compassion, mindfulness, and enlightenment. The teachings resonated deeply, giving him a sense of purpose beyond Hollywood fame. Gere's practice of Buddhism became a daily commitment. Meditation, ethical living, and the pursuit of wisdom shaped his approach to life and his work in the entertainment industry. Gere often speaks about how the practice of mindfulness and compassion influenced his personal growth, relationships, and acting career. Rather than seeing acting as mere performance, he viewed it as a form of storytelling that conveys deeper human truths. His choice of film roles often reflected this perspective, gravitating toward stories of redemption, self-discovery, and human connection. Gere's devotion to Tibetan Buddhism made him one of the most vocal Western advocates for Tibet's independence. As the chairman of the International Campaign for Tibet, Gere has tirelessly worked to raise awareness of China's policies in the region. He has testified before the U.S. Congress, urging political action, and has supported Tibetan refugees fighting for freedom. Despite being banned from the film industry, which limited his opportunities in mainstream cinema, Gere has remained undeterred. He has also contributed significantly to Buddhist causes. He has funded Buddhist centers, organized charity events, and consistently emphasized the importance of meditation in everyday life. Richard Gere's spiritual journey is a mission to bring awareness to human suffering and injustice. In a world where many celebrities chase fame for its own sake, Gere stands out as someone who is making a real difference. Where is Richard Gere now? After years of keeping a low profile, the Hollywood legend made a rare public appearance in May 2024, gracing the red carpet at the Cannes Film Festival for the premiere of O Canada. By his side was his son Homer, a budding actor with a sharp mind for both cognitive neuroscience and visual art, having studied at Brown University. His wife, Alejandra Silva, also joined him, her stunning strapless gown perfectly highlighting her natural elegance. Though Gere's acting career has spanned decades, his most cherished role these days is that of a devoted husband and father. In a candid interview with Ella España, the Pretty Woman star opened up about the decision to leave the United States and settle in Spain with his family. At 75, Gere has found a new rhythm, one far removed from Hollywood's relentless pace. "The truth is, you're seeing us in our momentum," he shared. "We are happier than ever, Alejandra, because she is at home, and me because if she is happy, I am happy." For his wife, Silva, Spain holds a special place in her heart. Originally from La Coruña, she has spent years balancing life between Spain and the United States. But after marrying Gere, it became clear that Spain was where their family truly belonged. Her 11-year-old son, Albert, from her previous marriage to Govind Friedland, also made the move. Spain offers the Geres a sense of peace and privacy that Hollywood never could. The past few months have been a whirlwind of adventure, with the family traveling from the snowy peaks of Switzerland to the sun-soaked beaches of Mexico, where they celebrated Silva's birthday. Their journey also took them to the Maldives for a tropical escape before they returned to Madrid, their new home base. On February 15, 2025, Gere and Silva joined a global effort to accelerate pediatric cancer research, marking Childhood Cancer Awareness Day at the second Global Oncothon. Alongside doctors, researchers, advocates, and fellow celebrities, the couple lent their voices to a mission dedicated to giving children battling cancer a better chance at survival. For Richard Gere, his life now isn't about the fleeting glamour of Hollywood. It's about something far more lasting. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more interesting stories, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update.